Welcome to this Marvelicious Toys one-shot. They're not just toys, they're Marvelicious.
Well, speaking of the Hasbro team, I did get a chance last week to sit down and talk to them about a lot of things. I talked to them about the Galactus Haslab. It was not funded when I did speak to them initially, but we talked quite a bit of stuff. So I hope you enjoy this interview. And why don't you guys go ahead one more time? And I'm sure our audience knows you, but you can introduce yourself to them. We'll start with Dwight.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Dwight. I'm work on design on Marvel at Hasbro.
Ryan.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan. I work on marketing for Marvel Legends.
And Dan.
Yo, what's up? I am Dan, marketing and hype man for Dwight and Ryan. Also hype man for the Galactus. So if you haven't gotten the Galactus, go back it right now. This moment. Do it. Go.
So talking about the Galactus, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but I'm going to ask it 1,000,001. The goal for that is almost double the biggest goal for any Haslab ever. Can you talk about how that number was determined upon and what economic factors, if any, may have played a role in that number?
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of Galactus questions for these interviews, and so we've done a little homework here. I think the Marvelicious Toys podcast are pretty savvy to how the industry works. So just a reminder that as it was kind of outlined in the earnings call, these are facts out there, but everyone's kind of acknowledged the rising input costs and freight costs for the business. These Haslab items are humongous boxes, as you shall very soon find once the Sentinel starts shipping out. So a lot of factors kind of go into that equation of number of backers, which again is units sold, not individual people, units sold versus the price point. It's like a big seesaw. When one goes up, the other can come down and vice versa. So, as much as we would have loved to have fewer backers, at the base threshold for Galactus, we didn't want the SRP to start creeping up higher over 400. We thought 400 was a good range to be at. It's a little more than Sentinel was because he's a little bit larger basically and a little bit more complex. And then also too, the Sentinel was developed in and costed out late 2019, early 2020. And so as we know, the world has just kind of completely changed for those factual reasons. And it is affecting all industries, not just toys and crowdfund toys. So we're doing our best. We're constantly learning from both product offering, how we market it. There's a lot of great suggestions out there on what tiers should be and how we should reveal them, but a lot goes into it. And I just kind of chuckle a little bit when people are like, oh well, certain Kickstarters do X, Y, and Z. I think it's not really an apples to apples comparison. A lot of Kickstarters are great creative projects. They're I think honestly smaller in scale and run by certain talented individuals who are able to input their flexibility into it. But we're working with some big partners on it. So we just have to kind of do what's best for everyone. And we hope as many people can back it as they can. And we do want to bring Galactus out there. We don't design these projects to have them not get backed. That is not the intention at all.
And talking about, costing and rising costs of figures and things, one thing that's been kind of noticed by collectors is the Build-A-Figure model seems to have changed a little bit. You guys are doing a lot more of the retro figures that, they cost the same amount, but don't come with the Build-A-Figure part. You're also releasing a lot of the Build-A-Figures or re-releasing them individually. Some figures have come out, deluxe figures like Maestro and MODOK that, people in their mind think, MODOK was way too big, but was a Build-A-Figure back in Toy Biz days. Maestro, you've done Hulks as Build-A-Figures before. Is the Build-A-Figure model still something viable given the rising costs and trying to keep the cost of Legends down? Is that the reason we're seeing more of the retro figures?
So you mean the retro 6-inch style figures? I think we continue to do those because we think they look great. The Fantastic Four-Way being the latest example, and it's kind of a nice theme. It's just a constant balance. I think part of the reason for re-releasing previous Build-A-Figures as deluxe figures, I think, is to either make, and we've talked about this before, is either to make a notable update like we did with Kingpin, with the different collar piece and different deco, or just to kind of make it more accessible for people who weren't collecting Build-A-Figures years ago when that came out. In terms of whether we would do away with one or the other, I don't think either decision is imminent. To your point, MODOK was way too large to be a Build-A-Figure. Could you argue that fans would have preferred it as a Build-A-Figure and scaled down in size? I don't know. Then they're still spending. They have to buy 6 figures to make him, and whereas he's a $50 kind of deluxe purchase. So I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But I think we'll continue to do both the best we can. And we've got the Hydra Stomper coming as well, which is an awesome deluxe figure. He's way too big to be a Build-A-Figure as well. Any other thoughts on that, Dwight?
No, I think you're right. I think we have a lot of Legends has grown to be so big and such a powerful brand. We have more opportunities to get those types of figures out in more ways than we could in the past. In the past, let's go back 5-6 years, you had, you would maybe make 5 or 6 exclusives for the year, and you had, 8 Build-A-Figure waves, and that was it. But now the brand has grown to be so powerful. It's like, we have the retro figures, we have the standard Build-A-Figure format, and both of those are awesome and valid, but they're not the only way for us to get things out there. So we now have deluxe price points and super deluxe, which allows us to get things out there that we normally couldn't have, done in the past. And, who knows where we're going to go from here. It's like now we have Haslabs, right, where we're delivering, 26-inch Sentinels and 32-inch Galacti to the world. So I think as the brand continues to grow and evolve, we're going to try to find more opportunities to get things out there to the fans and be able to look back at the past. And I know Ryan and Dan are really good at this, way better than I am, but they keep their eyes on like the secondary market and what things are going for. And if the prices are super, super high for certain characters, that were, maybe a few years old, maybe it's time to look at bringing those back out in a new way, in a new color or with some new pieces to get them to the people who, like Ryan said, weren't collecting then or might have missed them. I think the most important thing is it's not 100% rule, but wherever possible, if we're going to do those items, we like to make them different than what they were before. So if you do have that original Build-A-Figure, that is still special and unique to what it was. And, if you want the new version, the deluxe or super deluxe version, obviously go for it. Go grab that one too.
And I'm not disrespecting the retro 6-inch line at all. I absolutely love those throwbacks to the Toy Biz cards. And now with the Fantastic Four cards, with the rounded cut backs and everything. So, looking at the older toy lines that have come out, what would each of you like to see as a retro card that hasn't been done? And why isn't it Secret Wars?
Dan, what's your favorite?
So it's no secret, I love the 90s cartoon. So I would love to see the Spider-Man cartoon, all those characters on a retro card. I would love to see the X-Men 90s guys on a retro card. I know we have a lot of them already out, like the Jim Lee team, but we haven't completed that team yet, right? And like I love that cartoon, the X-Men cartoon, right? So seeing them on a retro card back, just because I love the retro card line. That's like one of my favorite lines that we put out, and to have one in and one out of those would be amazing. So that's just me, but I know the other guys would love something too.
Ryan, what about you?
I think in terms of what is left out there, I think the Iron Man Toy Biz line and that blister card in particular, in my mind, is probably the next one after Fantastic Four that we haven't done, that we probably should look at. Personally, I'm a big X-Men fan, so I'd love to do more of the orange versus purple versus blue versus black, like for X-Force and the villains and of that. And I think Secret Wars is definitely should be in the discussion. I think it has been. Friend of Marvel Legends, John Tyler Christopher, does a lot of those Secret Wars inspired action figure comic variant covers, and so that could be on the horizon too down the line.
Yeah, I'd pick Ghost Rider. Let me give me an excuse to make some demons and monsters. I'm into that. So I think I would pick the Toy Biz era Ghost Rider cards.
That was actually a cool line. I hadn't thought about that one. So, all right. And also looking at exclusives, one thing that I know was brought up a lot in your last live stream in the YouTube chat, I know we've heard it a lot from our listeners, is Walgreens have two exclusives, Quasar and Nova, that haven't yet shown up in the US. And, you know, I anecdotally, I don't see any legends in any of the Walgreens near me anymore. So what is your confidence level that these exclusives are going to be out there and readily available for collectors?
Yeah, we've looked into it. We tried to reassure you all on the last live stream. The first one, so who's the first one that's missing? Quasar?
Nova.
Or Nova came out. Okay, so yeah, Nova was the one that they said should be, you know, shortly, and then Quasar later this fall. So hang in there, guys. I'm pretty sure that the product is all produced. It's just sitting somewhere or in transit. So I know some fans have expressed frustration and even gone so far as to importing them, but I would just encourage you all to hang tight a little bit while longer. And from what we are hearing, they should be, you know, by the end of the year. We're going to be in the we're in the third quarter now, but by end of the year, you know, should be out there.
Yeah, Arnie, I want that Nova and Quasar figure. So I have like 2 Walgreens like near where I live, and I check every day, like almost every day. So I'm with the fans. I sense the frustration. I personally go on the toy hunt myself. So like Nova should be hopefully coming this month. And then like Ryan said, Quasar should be coming in the fall. Yeah, we're just like you guys. We go to the stores and we check all the time. So I check either every day or every other day just to go to Walgreens.
And then what makes the decision of when a figure is exclusive versus regular release?
I think there's a lot of things to that, Arnie. A lot of our mainline releases are built around big programs that tie into entertainment beats, whether that's a theatrical release, a Disney Plus release, or, you know, a major publishing venture. But then we know that there's still so many other Marvel fans outside of what's going on for that particular year. It gives us an opportunity to kind of look at other pieces of the Marvel universe that are not as tapped for that 12 months. And that's kind of where we came up with the cosmic theme for Walgreens for this year, because there was nothing, you know, in that slate, you know, so it allowed us to kind of go into a different category, a subcategory rather, and try to find some characters that we just didn't, you know, we didn't have an opportunity to find other homes for. It's also a place where you can kind of, depending on the account, whether it's, you know, like Fan Channel or Target and Walmart, each of those, you know, Amazon, et cetera, each one of those we handle a little bit differently, and we try to find different products that'll fit their unique needs to how they, you know, would distribute them out to you, the fan community.
And then oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
Yes, just from a business side, there's so many other like factors to it too that are behind the scenes that we probably can't go in, you know, in detail with, but we know fan sentiment around, you know, retailer exclusives. I think that, you know, you out of all people, Arnie, you guys know, like there has to be a lot of business decisions that need to be made, you know what I mean? And we try very hard to make sure that we consider fans too when it comes to exclusives and things of that nature. But there are a lot of things in the background that, you know, we don't really openly talk about when it comes to those type of things. And yeah, it's just we try very, very hard though to consider to make sure the fans are number one priority first. So but there is a business side to it too.
And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the 3 3/4 inch retro line, because I absolutely love that line you've got going on. Are there going to be more announcements coming soon regarding that?
There will be. Thank you for supporting that line from the very get-go with the Pulse 2 packs. Appreciate it. No, we love this line as well. It was a big undertaking to get it off the ground, and I think we're just starting to hit our stride. So yeah, there will be more announcements to come for all those glorious 3 3/4, 5/7 point articulated figures with the amazing, you know, more amazing illustrations too for those mint on card collectors.
So just kind of wrapping it up here, what is something about your job at Hasbro that you wish your fans and collectors understood? Dwight, start with you.
That is, it is a lot of fun, but it's an incredibly stressful job, just like any one of you guys have. We all go to a job every day. Yes, at the end of the day, our team is surrounded by spandex superheroes, and it is a lot of fun to dive into the IPs that we get to do. But there is a massive amount of stress that gets put onto the team for hitting timelines and production cost, profitability standards, and fan standards of quality and diversity for fans and everybody that's out there. Is like there's so many levels of things that we have to think about that none of it's taken lightly. Sure, we miss things from time to time, and we wish we could do things differently or revisit stuff. But every one of us loves what we do so much. But it's a ton of work, and it's a lot of restless nights. And I think that just goes along with anyone who cares and loves what they do. You're going to want it to be the best, and you're going to put everything you have into it. And I know the three of us that you get to talk to on this call feel that way. But beyond the three of us, there's other members of the team that love and care just as much for this brand of Marvel as well as the Legends brand, and they put everything that they have into it. So I think it's just the amount of work that's involved in making an action figure is so much more than just drawing a picture, getting a sculpt, and running a production, an injection mold machine. So,
Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, sort of to echo, Dwight's point, I think fans don't realize how close like all three of us are to, fan sentiment. And I think what we would like to share, or I would like to share, is that we try very, very hard to consider every, situation. You know what I mean? I know, like, usually in the fan sites, there's always those questions of like, why don't you do X, Y, and Z, or do X, Y, and Z, right? And I'll tell you, probably 9 times out of 10, like, we've considered that situation, and we've also asked that question too. So yeah, just to echo Dwight, I think I would like to just convey that it takes a lot of hard work from people who, you guys don't get to see too. And I just want to give them a shout out and say that it really takes a village to make sure that Marvel Legends is what it is today. And I'm very grateful to be part of it. And I'm grateful for all the fans and, people like you, Arnie, who have been, loyalists to Legends. So thank you, really.
Well, thank you. Ryan, what about you?
So yeah, I mean, I'll try to come up with a new angle that the guys haven't previously said, but yeah, I know we all have a passion for this, and at the end of the day, it's a very kind of simple enjoyment to have an action figure in your hands and pose it out on yourself. But again, it's a very complicated process, both in terms of manufacturing and production, and then also business considerations. Hasbro is a big corporation. Disney, Marvel, same thing. So we have a lot of competing priorities. We do try to make the fans as happy as possible. What's great about Marvel is that there's so many different corners of the universe that you can be a fan of multiple different things. And so we're always trying to find that balancing act. And then if there's something that wasn't put out that you want to see or not put out in the right version, and then it's not because we're ignoring fans or we don't care about it. It's just we had to make a decision. And hopefully on the balance, more of the decisions make fans happy, but we'll try to continue to do our best there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for your time. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Are we going to see you guys at New York Comic Con?
Probably not, but you'll
not.
continue to see it. You'll continue to see our smiling faces coming through the computer screens to you in many different ways.
All right. Well, thank you, and you guys have a good day.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Arnie.
Arnie.
Take it easy, buddy.
Thanks, Arnie.
thank you to the Hasbro team for their generosity with their time, sitting down with us for an exclusive 20-minute interview. I always just love talking to the guys and only wish it could be in person.
I mean, it's cool to hear. I mean, I think we all suspect it anyway, but it's cool to hear them saying that they're, at heart, they're just fans like us, you know? I mean, they're somewhat in charge, and they have way more input into what gets put on shelves than any of us do. But at the same time, they're out there looking for these things and trying to find them themselves. And I think that comes through in so much of what they do, you know, the talking to fans and interacting with us, and the product they put out. You can tell there's real love there for the property.
And I asked about Nova. The Nova figure, not Frankie Nova, the other Nova, the Walgreens exclusive Nova, has been found in California a couple days after I asked the question. So you're going to want to start hitting your Walgreens. I just hope they put them online at some point. But I live near a ton of Walgreens now, so hopefully.
Yep, they're starting to trickle out. Something else Dwight said that got me excited. The new term super deluxe figure. Is that something that we've seen? Is that what we're calling MODOK as a super deluxe figure? Or is that something that we'll be seeing in the future?
Huh. I kind of took it as the kind of $50 price point figure but like Surtur.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think, you know, reading between the lines, I think that's what he probably was talking about, is that kind of $50 price point MODOK and Surtur, like you said.
Because the deluxe figures were like the War Machine and the Black Widow that came with the extra stands and the extra guns and accessories.
Yeah, and the bigger figures like, you know, Maestro Hulk right now, that $30 price point. Toxin and Venom.
But that gets me excited that we could have more like 12-inch figures that are scaled to Legends as compared to that 12-inch figure line that made, 6 figures or so and then just didn't make it.
Yeah. But not only that, but more things that possibly couldn't have been done as a Build-A-Figure because they were just too big, like a MODOK, and now they can live in a super deluxe price point.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Marvelicious Toys. Marvelicious Toys is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2022. All rights reserved.